In this video I'm talking about There's No Other Way by Blur, and this was recently requested by somebody, and it was pointed out that it's actually been 30 years since this song came out and since Blur's first record came out. It's quite amazing to think that it's been that long. And it's perhaps not Blur's greatest track, but I think it's a really strong pop song, and the guitar parts in particular are fantastic. We've got some lovely riffs and it's lots of fun to play. And I had actually attempted learning this one quite a while ago and don't think I was quite getting it right, so I've revisited the track this week, tried to fix a few things, and I'm going to begin by playing through the track and then I'll show you how to play it. Song came out in 1991 as a single, and as I said, it was also part of Blur's debut record Leisure. And Leisure, not an album that I'm particularly familiar with actually, and I don't know if it's even that good a record. I read that Damon Albarn himself has effectively disowned the record, and it's obviously a record made by a very young band, and I think various artistic decisions were forced on them by producers and A&R people, and they weren't particularly happy with the results. But I think there are 2 or 3 really good songs on the record, and this is one of them, and it's got a very typical early 90s indie baggy feel about it. You got the Stone Roses drums, and some of these guitar riffs actually remind me a bit of the Happy Mondays, and those great riffs played by Mark Day. I actually did a lesson on some Happy Mondays riffs quite a while ago, and it's very reminiscent of some of those riffs, I think. So I'm sure Blur were influenced by all of that kind of stuff that was going on round about this kind of time. So let's get down to business and I'll show you how the song is played. Let me take you through this one riff by riff. We have got a capo on at the 2nd fret, and technically this song is in the key of E, though you could also talk about it as being in the key of D in relation to the capo. There's lots of D chord shapes flying around in this one. Now let's kick off with that opening riff. What a great riff this is, and it's all really based on 2 chord shapes, or 2 triad shapes really. We've got the 12th fret on the D, G, B strings, and then we've got the 14th fret on those same strings. So we're just sliding up to the 12th fret with the 1st finger. Then we've got a couple of muted strums or scratches. So just going to release pressure with your 1st finger just to deaden the strings. Down, up, scratches. And then we've got a hammer on from 12 to 14 on the D string. And then we're catching the higher notes in that 2nd triad shape. So 14th fret on the B and G strings. And then we're going back to that 1st shape. And it's all played with quite a funky syncopated feel, so best way to get that I think is just to listen closely to the original recording. That's the first half of the riff. The second half of the riff, we're really just doing that same move down at this end of the fretboard. So sliding down from the 12th fret, and then we've got a couple of scratches again, and this time a hammer on from frets 1 to 3 in relation to the capo, and then just flattening down the third finger to catch the higher notes. And the riff ends like this, with more triads. We've got this shape here, which is a sus4 triad. So again, in relation to the capo, this is frets 5, 5, 3, and then we're making it a major triad, so 5, 4, 3. So if I put all of that together, moving on to the verse riff, which sounds like this. So it just starts with a D chord, moving to a C chord, and then we've got a little embellishment on the top of that C chord. So it's really just a hammer on and a pull off with the first finger. And you can let the open third string ring out as well. And then we're moving to an A chord. I'm just playing that with the first finger flattened down. It might actually just be an A triad. I can't always hear the open A string. And then moving that same shape up 3 frets. So more triad shapes really. And then putting fingers 2 and 3 down for a major triad shape. So and then this is more kind of C chord stuff, I suppose. Here it's just embellishing that kind of sound. So I've got a hammer on the D string, and then that same hammer and pull on the second string. Once again, you can let the open third string ring out there as well. Once again, really nice riff, really inventive way of just embellishing what is quite a simple chord progression. Moving on to the chorus, that goes like this: 2, 3, 4, 1. Most of this is just simple chords really. We've got a D chord, and then we're going to what I will call a C chord, and then we've got a F chord and a G. So the D I'm just playing as a regular open D chord. For the C, it's this kind of A form bar chord. It might actually just be the triad shape on the D, G, B strings that he's playing here. And then for the F chord and the G chord, it's this kind of lazy bar chord that Coxsone tends to play. He doesn't tend to bar all the way across with his first finger. He's just kind of playing them like that. Mainly I'm just hearing 4 strings here, so. And the cool thing about this riff, I think, is the rhythm. So what he's doing is this: we've got 1, 2, 3 and 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So the first chord you're playing on beat 2, 1, 2 and 3, and the second chord in each pair on the and of 3. So it's 1, 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then for the second part of the chorus, we've just got F, G and D, and those are all played on the beat. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's the rough idea with the chorus part, though you could try playing it a bit more loosely than that, and certainly on the recording you can hear some variations, and the guitars are certainly double tracked, if not triple tracked, probably with each of those guitars doing a slightly different thing. So one of the guitars has certainly got those quite clear accents happening. Maybe another guitar is doing something a bit more conventionally strummy. You could also try adding in some bass notes. You can sometimes hear some bass notes in there, so why not play some bass notes and try combining it with that accent part. Quite an effective approach. And also, if you listen to Coxon play it live, he's kind of mixing together all of those approaches, and it's a lot messier and kind of more raw than on the studio recording. And then we've got a bit tagged on to the end of the chorus that's played in unison with the bass. And we've got this slidey move played on the 3rd string. And then this little double stop shape, it's frets 3 and 2 on the D and G strings. Just sliding that up 2 frets, and then a little hammer and pull. Then we're back to the main riff again. Then we go around for another verse, another chorus. There is a guitar solo, but it's not really a learnable guitar solo. It's a kind of atmospheric backwards guitar solo. I mean, I'm sure you can get some kind of pedal that would emulate turning the tape over and playing a solo backwards. Or you could just do what Coxon does when he plays it live. He just kind of makes some silly noises. So I'm all for that at every opportunity. There is actually one more riff in the song, which is the outro riff, and that goes something like this. Once again, this is all triads, so we've got this E triad shape. It's frets 14, 13, 12 on the DGB, and you can hear that Coxon's just kind of hammering into that shape from the 12th fret with the 1st finger, and then moving that same shape 2 frets lower, adding in the little finger to make that major triad a sus4, and then moving that triad shape down once again. This is kind of a B triad, and then back up. So and that's played several times, and right at the end of the song, walking back up to the E triad shape chromatically. Graham Coxon is someone you mostly associate with Telecasters, but it doesn't sound like a Telecaster to me on this recording. I've actually got no idea what he would have used on the original recording, but looking at live footage of him playing this track, he always seems to use a Les Paul, so I'm wondering if it's a Les Paul that he used on the recording of this track, and that's what I've gone for today. My Les Paul is a 59 reissue Les Paul. I'm plugging into my Marshall, which is a Marshall Studio Vintage, and all of the overdrive is coming directly from the amp today, so no pedals. And I'm doing the little trick you can do with Plexi style Marshalls where you bridge the 2 channels together. And I'm plugged into the top input of channel 1, and then from the bottom input you can just take a little patch cable over to the top input of channel 2 and then blend the 2 sounds of those channels together using the volume controls. And channel 1 is known as the high treble channel, and it's really trebly, almost to the point of harshness, and then channel 2 is a little bit fuller and warmer, and you can find by carefully balancing those 2 channels you can get the perfect sound with just the right amount of cut without it being too harsh. Let me give you some sounds then, and I'm using the neck pickup today. I think that sounds closest to me to the recording. Well, that's it really for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. As usual, tab and backing track are going to be up on my Patreon page. Thanks a lot for watching. I shall see you next time.